This picture right here had me up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I haven't been feeling very well. Like many, I've been dealing with what's going on with this big, beautiful bill and just losing my mind. But the smiles of these people at Alligator Alcatraz. I had questions at 3 o'clock in the morning. And so I decided to hop on with my bestie, ChatGPT, because I had questions and I knew that bestie would have answers. So let's go. So the first questions I asked were, where exactly is Alligator Alcatraz? How many hurricanes have hit that area? How many people have died from hurricanes in that area? How many people can Alligator Alcatraz hold? Do you think that structure could survive a hurricane? See, look at all the happy smiles. Bestie said Alligator Alcatraz is located at the Old Dade Collier Training and Transition Airport within Big Cypress National Preserve, approximately 45 miles west of Miami in Collier County. The area has been hit by several hurricanes, including Hurricane Wilma in 2005, Hurricane Irma in 2017, and Hurricane Ian in 2022. Historical hurricanes like the 1926 Miami hurricane and the 1935 Labor Day hurricane caused hundreds to thousands of deaths in South Florida. Of course, we're talking 100 years ago, and surely the population in that area has increased, and a bad hurricane would cause more fatalities. The facility is designed to hold up to 5,000 detainees, and you and I both know that they have every intention of going over that amount. However, it is constructed with aluminum frame tents, like the ones at weddings and music festivals, only rated to withstand a Category 2 hurricane. So given its location and construction, the structure is unlikely to survive a Category 3 or stronger hurricane. It gets worse. So then I asked, since the government has cut FEMA, limited access to hurricane data, etc., how likely is it that they would be able to evacuate so many people without much notice? Bestie said evacuating up to 5,000 people from Alligator Alcatraz without much notice is highly unlikely due to a convergence of issues. They are sending people there to die. They've already talked about the alligators, right? They're bragging about it. They're selling merch with alligators on it because they know if in the event someone is actually able to get out of this facility, the likelihood of them being eaten is pretty high. They're giddy about it. But here is what Bestie said, why it is unlikely to be able to evacuate 5,000 people, let alone the overcrowding that we're expecting. It's just not going to happen. Weakened disaster response infrastructure, example, FEMA budget cuts, limited real-time data from hurricane monitoring agencies, the facility's remote location with minimal road access, and the massive logistical requirements of such an evacuation. The facility sits in a flood-prone swamp with alligators, with only one major highway leading in and out. Air evacuation is infeasible at this scale. Recent storms have intensified rapidly, thanks climate change that they deny too, leaving less than 36 hours to act. With no published evacuation protocols and strained local resources, a safe evacuation is highly improbable. Not unlikely, improbable, like it's not going to happen. Miss me with you pro-lifers, because nothing about this is pro-life. So then I asked, what are the year-round temps there? And it said year-round temperatures in Big Cypress range from an average high of 78 degrees Fahrenheit during the winter to 94 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer, with high humidity and frequent thunderstorms from May through October. Now, anyone who lives in the Southwest, Florida, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, we know what 94 degrees with 100% humidity feels like. You literally feel like you're fucking melting. This is cruel. This is actually cruel, but it gets worse. I asked Bestie, what poses the biggest threat of deaths at Alligator Alcatraz? It responded, the biggest threats to life at Alligator Alcatraz include 1, hurricane or tropical storm strike. Tents won't withstand Category 3 storms, and evacuation is logistically impossible. That's just, it won't survive a category 3+ storm. What happens if it's a category 1 or 2? It's still going to be catastrophic and is still going to cost lives. 2, extreme heat. Tents lack insulation or AC, posing risk of heat stroke. 3, flash flooding and electrocution due to swamp terrain and exposed electrical wiring. 4, disease outbreaks due to overcrowding, poor sanitation, and humidity. 5, delayed medical care, no hospital on site, limited access to emergency services. 6, fire. Tents are flammable and escape routes are limited. Any of these scenarios could lead to mass casualties. You know, in America, we like our prisons overcrowded anyway, so I asked about that. I asked Bestie, finally, our prisons that house convicted prisoners are already overcrowded. Can you please discuss overcrowded prison conditions and what the chances are that Alligator Alcatraz will stay within capacity? Bestie said U.S. prisons are severely overcrowded with over 1.9 million people incarcerated. Overcrowding causes medical neglect, unsanitary conditions, and legal violations. Alligator Alcatraz is nominally capped at 5,000 detainees, but there are no enforceable legal standards to prevent overcapacity. Political motives and lack of oversight historically lead to overfilling detention centers. Overcrowding will amplify existing dangers such as heat stress, disease, and inability to evacuate. And if you were paying attention like I was, they are now asking that any old regular National Guardsman be deputized as a judge to handle these facilities and make decisions. As a lawyer, that's fucking frightening. While Congress is debating this big, beautiful bill, my God, I'm praying it doesn't pass. It would be just so devastating for this country. I asked a couple final questions. When detainees die, because they will at Alligator Alcatraz, will their survivors be able to sue? That's my cat. And how much will Alligator Alcatraz cost? And how much of the money spent at Alligator Alcatraz could be spent saving or maintaining cuts Republicans are trying to confirm in this big, beautiful bill? 1, can survivors sue if detainees die at Alligator Alcatraz? Yes, survivors can pursue legal action, though there are significant hurdles. 1, wrongful death lawsuits can be filed under Florida law for negligence, examples, unsafe conditions, failure to evacuate. Federal liability requires navigating the Federal Tort Claims Act, which limits damages and has very strict requirements. Constitutional claims, example, deliberate interference or indifference, may apply but are difficult to win. And then evidence like medical records, logs, and testimony will be critical, but the infrastructure is not there to keep all of that information in the first place. How much does Alligator Alcatraz cost? Estimated at $450 million annually to operate. Those are your tax dollars at work. Per detainee daily cost ranges from $165 to $245. Full capacity of 5,000 detainees matches the $450 million figure. I think I heard yesterday that in order to keep a child on Medicaid, cost that child $10 a day, or cost the U.S. taxpayer $10 a day. But here we are willing to pay between $165 and $245 to detain these people at Alligator Auschwitz. So I asked about redirecting funds. If we take this money from Alligator Alcatraz and put it towards things being cut in the big, beautiful bill, affordable housing, $450 million could fund 1,500 to 2,250 low-income units, not just people, units. Education could fund 30,000 students for a year. Disaster preparedness could restore FEMA and emergency services budgets. Healthcare could cover tens of thousands through Medicaid expansion. Final takeaway, legal claims are possible but challenging. The cost of Alligator Alcatraz is high and politically controversial. That funding could instead be used for housing, education, healthcare, and disaster responses. Look, our priorities are fucked up. These aren't people who have been adjudicated and declared guilty. We are taking people who are doing this the right way, going to courts, detaining them, and now we're going to give them death sentences without any due process. These are human rights violations. There will be consequences. These folks,